Welcome back to another episode of the K-Swap 240, where we're going to try to figure out what's wrong with our timing. If you watched our previous episode, you know we had a huge fail on the dyno. This thing made 120 wheel horsepower at 5,500 RPM. So the issue that we think we have right now is our timing is not in sync. So the cam timing is not in line with the crank. So what we have to do is take everything apart, which includes taking the front cover off, and then we can try to figure out our timing. We talked to a couple of friends, including Rui at K-Tuned, who mentioned that we probably also should replace our timing chain. Thank you for all of you in the comments of the previous video that mentioned some of the issues that you guys thought we had and whatnot. And the chain necessarily, it being stretched isn't a huge problem because this car did make 215 wheel beforehand, but it's a good measure to make sure that everything is going to be good moving forward, and now is the time to kind of replace it. So without further ado, it is time to get down to business.
Well, it turns out taking the front cover off wasn't as bad as we thought it was. In hindsight, we should have done that initially when we put the cams in and felt like maybe it had moved at the crank because I didn't hold the chain quite tight enough. I think that's where it all started to go wrong for us. By the way, everyone, this is Rui from K-Tuned.
Hey guys.
He is our K-engine guru. He bails us out whenever we get into work that's above our pay grade. And they would probably recognize you from our old K-Swap series. Rui swapped the cams in that motor for us, so he's come in with some special tools and some knowledge to make sure we do it right this time, including this amazing 19 mil socket. Like, look at the wall thickness on this. This is so when you're taking off the crank pulley bolt, you don't get any flex or deflection in this socket, and it worked amazingly well.
Yeah, makes life 10 times easier.
It really does.
Yeah,
We just lifted the rad up, gun underneath, and banged it out. Just took all the bolts out. We were kind of concerned the oil pan would have to be dropped, but we could get at the bolts, so it didn't turn out to be that bad. So now we can see what happened.
Yep.
And the survey says?
It's a tooth off.
Tooth off.
Yeah.
So we did mess around with it at Nick's shop as well, as you guys saw. So it has to have been a tooth off the whole time, though, for it to have been down that kind of power. Right?
You can see that the chain stretched quite a bit.
Yeah, you
That's
said the
why
tensioner, right? Like the tensioner
you
is
can
really
see the tensioner's
extended?
far out. Yeah.
Oh, that's
like
true, just from the amount of protrusion,
normally, like
yeah.
when you pull that pin off the first time, you can, if you know it, if you've done it quite a few times, you can see how, you can hear how far it comes out.
Really?
You know, so.
It's the K Whisperer, everyone. I love it. Well, now that we've discovered the problem, we kind of knew this is what we were going to find.
Yeah.
You've been kind enough to pick up a bunch of parts from the Honda
from Honda,
dealership,
yeah.
and you brought some K-Tuned goodies for us
Brought
too.
some
So
goodies, yeah.
this is turning into a silver lining, everyone. We're getting some upgrades out of this deal here, and we got a pro who's going to make sure that this is all timed up right. Man, well, now that we got the chain out and we're holding it up to the new one, you can see that the amount of stretch there, it's almost like a full link, isn't it?
Yeah, close enough.
That's incredible, and you're saying that's not that much.
Yeah, it's not that much. I've seen a lot worse than this. A lot worse. Yeah.
You wouldn't think metal would stretch that much.
I've
but
never understood that. And K24 is the worst for that. K20 doesn't really, it does, but not.
Somehow this motor's
It's all that
more-
torque, guys.
Yeah, all that torque,
No,
that's
it's all
right.
that torque,
It's that
yeah.
big block torque.
Right.
Well, now that we can see that, I mean, we're obviously doing the right thing by swapping a chain in.
The OEM chain has, you can see gold teeth for crank and then cams. So when we put this on, I normally go from the bottom, bring it around on the crank, you can see on the tooth wheel, one of them has like
There's a little dot
a
there.
little dot right there.
Yeah.
So let me just put it on that one, hold it, bring it around like so, and it goes in between. This one we gotta move it slightly, but that's normal. You
Just
know.
put a wrench on the cam.
Yeah, put a wrench on the cam, but for now we'll put everything else on and we can move it after. So we got some brand new OEM guides from Acura.
Do you find the old ones do tend to fail?
Very rare. I haven't seen it.
Okay.
The only time I do see is on very harsh race gas. They tend to get a little bigger than what they are. They tend to stretch. Actually, the Delrin.
Really?
I've seen it, yeah.
Reacts to the fuel.
Yeah, reacts to the fuel and it comes up a little bit.
Wow. How is the fuel even getting on those?
It's just mixture. A lot of fuel, ethanol, or like let's say alcohol, nitromethane that
Gets
we've
into
been
the oil.
using in the all-motor cars. That gets a little bit with mixture, and it tends to
Wow.
stretch the guide itself.
Wild.
It's
So
pretty
for the
crazy.
average guy,
for the average guy, like I
replacing
haven't-
these is kind of redundant.
Yeah. I've changed just as a peace of mind for some customers, but it really like I haven't seen any fail or break or anything so far. Yeah,
good
so
to know.
they're pretty good. Yeah.
All right. Well, we wasted our money on that, but it's still peace of mind. Like
No,
you said.
peace of
no.
mind, yeah.
We're doing it the right way
Yeah,
now.
do it the right way.
Make it
For
fresh,
sure.
everyone. Make it
Exactly,
fresh.
Exactly. We'll start off with the intake side guide. Next is the exhaust side, which is held in by a 6mm Allen head bolt, which not very common on a Honda, but it's there. Okay, since we're reusing the old tensioner,
It's a new
we
old
can
tensioner.
new old tensioner, yeah. We can always bring the piston back in. So all you got to do is pull the pin out, let it out a little bit, push down on the lever. That should hopefully be enough. We'll soon find out.
There you go.
Hopefully it's enough. If not, we got to redo it a little bit more.
While Rui bleeds the tensioner a bit more, it's interesting to see they've actually made a design change to the guide on the exhaust side here. See this little metal arm that sticks up here? Look at this guy. Doesn't have this arm, and Rui was saying that this does a really good job of keeping the chain in position, not letting it skip teeth. So this apparently comes on like the Z3 9th Gen SI motors.
We'll put the part number link in the description.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
just
good.
in case people are doing this job.
Good idea, but Rui says he's a big fan of this design revision. So if you're changing your guides, go to this design because it's going to prevent the chain from jumping off.
Put the bottom one on first, and then we kind of like lift it up and push it out of the way, so full tension, and then we'll release the pin.
You were saying too that it's a little thicker on this guide down
these guides
the
are
tensioner.
slightly a little different than the regular K24 A2 stuff. It's got the extra guide here like you mentioned before, and it's got a little bit more meat on the bottom side.
So it makes the chain tensioning a little trickier, I guess, eh?
Because even the 9th gen tensioner is slightly different too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, since you've done all the work here, Rui, I'll give you the honor of pulling the pin.
Pulling the pin.
The most exciting part of this job.
Yeah, there
we
you
go.
go. Yeah.
All
Now we'll
right.
spin it a couple of times.
Okay.
And make sure there's some tension and a little bit of oil pressure in it, and we're good to continue.
Okay.
So previously on the right before we took the old stretch chain, you can see how far out the piston was compared to now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like big time.
It was twice as
Way-
far
yeah,
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was almost all the way out. Just that half a tooth over is a big difference on how big the chain is, obviously.
Yeah,
right?
it's wild.
We just spin it a couple of times, get some oil pressure inside the tensioner. So very important to put a nice bead of Honda Bond or Ultra Gray right up against the corners. They tend to leak if they're not 100% sealed. So now we got Honda Bond all over the timing chain cover. We put a nice bead on the oil pan so we have no leaks, and we're ready to bolt her back up.
So easy doing this on a real drive car, right?
This is awesome. I wish all of them were like this.
Yeah.
Definitely not like an RSX or 06 to 11 Civic, that's for sure. So this is normally the K24 A2 chain guide up top on the cam gears. This is normally on CRV. We always use this because you can see
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, way bigger.
way bigger, more coverage on the chain, less chance of it letting slap around on the top side of the chain.
Interesting that they do that on a CRV, which is not a
CRV,
revvy motor.
Not a revvy motor. Yeah.
Huh.
Man,
Just
Rui's
little
got like
things,
all the tricks. I'm
That's what
loving
happens.
this.
You bring in the Honda experts, and then they know the secret tips.
Well, now the internet knows too.
Yeah.
Like big cam motors, stuff like that, it's perfect thing to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably a super cheap thing to
Yeah,
buy too.
yeah, it's pretty much same price. Not really much price difference in Honda, so look at the big coverage difference compared
Wow,
to like,
yeah.
you know, half of it.
All right, Rui, we've got the valve cover back on. We've got our compression tester hooked up here.
Yep.
And to refresh people's memories, we made a whopping 120 PSI of compression on it before.
Yep.
So DP, crank this thing up. Let's see where we're at. Woo-wee! All right. That is, wow, that's...
Big difference.
Wow, holy smokes. I'd say probably, very close to
Close
200
to
then.
200, yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So it looks like we've got a healthy motor. Well, at least the first one. We'll go through all of these, but we did want to do a different test here, didn't we, Dave?
Yeah.
We were talking about the compression testers and how they differ.
Yeah, they do seem to differ a lot. I mean, I have two at home, and they're 40 PSI different, which is a huge
Oh my goodness,
gap.
that's
I would think
unacceptable.
that's probably not normally the case, but it's interesting to think that, you know, we used Nick's tester at his shop at 120. Who knows what it would have read on this? It still would have been low, but it might have been 100 or 140. So
Yeah, and I've got a cheapie here.
yeah,
So
we're gonna try
let's
to
put that one in and let's see where we're at here.
This one's pretty close.
Oh, look at that.
Yep.
That's pretty much bang on here.
Bang on this one.
There you go.
Yep.
There goes my harebrained theory, everybody. All compression testers are identical.
Woo, 210 on that last one.
Last one, yeah.
Yeah.
This one's real good.
So we had we just tested them all, right? So 210 on the last two and 200, let's just
200
say, on the other
rest,
ones.
yeah.
So that's I think that's a very tolerable
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah, it's a healthy motor for considering
healthy.
it's pretty high mileage. I don't recall the exact mileage. We were thinking it was over 200K though.
We don't know.
Something in that ballpark, but really typically what guys are using a compression tester for is to see differences in compression between cylinders. It's not so much the absolute number.
Exactly.
It's just if you have one that's like way lower,
off,
you're like,
yeah.
okay, we have a problem. So,
Yeah,
but it's still nice to confirm that we have a healthy motor. So,
Yeah. Very healthy, actually.
well, looks like we're making a bit of a fashion and function upgrade too here, aren't we, Rui?
Yeah.
This is a K-Tune cover. You offered in a few different colors.
Just black, raw, and wrinkle red.
Wrinkle red.
Yeah.
And this even has the Drag Cartel logo on it.
Special edition.
Very nice.
Ooh, damn.
And it's got these,
Dash 10 AN
so this is allow you to hook up to different
catch
type
can
of-
lines, yeah. We got 2 in the front, 2 in the rear, and 1 on just the regular OEM
Right.
side one.
So good. Well, that's going to look good. We're taking it up to Type R specs here. So my prediction of 250 at the wheel just went up to 260 at the wheel, everybody.
Wow,
PT, you're not
wow.
at 247. Rui, what are we going to make with this? You've built a few Honda
I would
motors.
say 245, 250.
Okay.
At the most.
Okay, see, a fellow optimist. I like that. There you have it, everyone. That is our cherry on top. Man, it looks good, doesn't it?
It does.
And there's a lot of new details here that we don't have on our EK Coupe. Like we do run your dipstick on your EK
Yeah.
Coupe, but you've added this new spring on here to prevent it from
Retention
popping
spring.
out.
Exactly, yeah.
Is that something that was happening just like in high crankcase pressure
Exactly,
situations?
yeah. Big turbo setups.
Right.
A lot of blow by, yeah.
Blow by. Well, let's hope we don't have that issue. And of course, we have this cover over our coil packs, and we've got the oil cap.
Yeah.
K-tuned out.
We are
K-tuned
fully
out, yeah.
K-tuned. I'm even K-tuned myself here. So thanks for all the help, Rui. We really appreciate it.
Anytime.
Thank you, everyone at K-Tune, for letting Rui come and play hooky with us for an afternoon. And man, it's so hot in here. I'm fogging up. So I think it's time we just get to the dyno and see what kind of real numbers we can make.
And just like that, we are back at Tuning by Nick, getting ready for this thing to hit those rollers. So let's talk to Nick because we have one minor concern today. I could see by the sweat beating off your forehead that it's the hottest day of the year, right?
You brought it on the worst possible day for tuning, Pete.
Well, I'm just trying to give the fans the videos quickly.
Fair
so
enough.
I was like, if we sacrifice 5-10 horsepower, I'm okay with it. I know the internet will
They will not be okay
scream,
with it,
but it's okay for me. So yeah, it's like 35 degrees today, which
It
is
is the hottest day and there's so much humidity. It is really not a great day for tuning, but I'm gonna do what I can. I'll get the most out of it possible, and I don't know, let's see what it makes.
exactly. Let's do it. Are we still alive? Because I am sweating bullets here.
I'm done. I don't want to do this again.
Man, I apologize once again for bringing you this car on today, but I wanted to get this video done for tomorrow, so that meant we
had to do it.
We pushed through it, and it actually didn't make bad power. I'm very happy. I was 1 horsepower off in terms of my prediction.
Super close.
So we made 236 at the wheel. And for torque, we made, I think it was like, what?
We're over 170.
170. So
more than 170.
Yeah. So very impressive gains from our 215. And let's just, before we kind of like go into the graph and how it looks, let's talk about the temperature and what you saw, because I think you said you were like over 100 Fahrenheit, right?
Consistently intake temps over 100. So not ideal. They were around the 106 average. Anything over 112, you can't really tune because it starts taking away timing on its own. So you got to keep it consistent. It was a balancing act of trying to keep this car cool today. So yeah, I did what I could. It is tuned for the worst case scenario, Pete. Like, you'll be able to take it lapping and you will have no worries.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a good thing. And we should mention the previous tune, the intake temperatures were like in the 70s, right?
It was ideal weather conditions that day that we did the baseline pull. They were in the low 70s intake.
So let's just be keyboard racers here. If we had that 70 Fahrenheit intake temperature, we're looking at around over 240, I'd say, right?
I would hazard a guess of around 245 with the setup.
Awesome.
On a nice cool day.
So actually, Dave may have been closer to his prediction.
Yep.
But overall, like, I think this setup is pretty awesome. And what about, let's go into the graph here. We were thinking we would try to like rev this further out into like 8,200 RPM rev limiter territory, but it's kind of fallen flat after, what is that, like 7,600 RPM?
So I'm surprised by this, and I think it is due to probably the header. I think the header is, it's like you say, it's an OEM S2000 header that's been modified, so it's probably not the best header for this setup for high revs, and that's probably why we're seeing it not pull strong all the way to 8,000.
Right. Yeah. Like usually you see that thing kind of go straight up rather than like.
It should be a 45 degree all the way to red line, but we're starting to see it fall off, and there's nothing I can do. VTC's adjusted, timing's adjusted, everything is adjusted to optimize to get as much out of this as possible. So.
Well, still, as I said, I think we made a ton of great power. This car is going to feel very, very healthy. So.
Yeah, definitely. These cams are going to help a lot on the track. This torque plateau is what you want at the track. So. Which
is exactly what we were going for. Yeah. So we probably lost a little bit on the down low versus the stock cams, but now we've gained so much up top, right?
Yep.
Well, that is officially a wrap on this one, everybody. I'm super excited to drive this car. I think it's in the right type of weather. This thing is going to haul some serious ass. And I actually have plans to find a stock S14 SR powered car that I can drag race with this car, because I think it's going to give it a run for the money. So thank you as always for watching. Make sure to check out Nick's channel. I'm going to provide a link in the description and up in the corner. So check him out. He's got a ton of good, really cool dyno content, and that Porsche 997 with the K-Swap that I just can't wait to see finish up. So the next episode on this car is going to be at the racetrack, and it's going to be awesome.